After years of planning and saving, we finally escaped the daily grind of the city to find a gentler and more fulfilling life in the beautiful countryside. When we decided to look for a house with land, I knew we had to come to Wales, where I was born. So now we have 5 fields and a small stretch of woodlands along a river. Unfortunately, the river isn't ours, it's on our neighbour's land, but it's beautiful nonetheless. So join me while I attempt to turn these 8 acres into a wildlife haven where I grow my own food, medicine and craft supplies. I'm Samina and welcome to my messy plot. Right, my hedging plants have come and a cherry tree that I ordered, cherry blossom tree, not like a fruiting cherry tree. So I'm going to open them now. It's raining outside. I really don't fancy getting wet, but I got an email on Tuesday that these were dispatched and it's Monday today. So they have been in these boxes for a very long time. So I really can't wait for the rain to stop. I want to get them out and see how they look. And, oh, well, you know what it's like. It's just exciting when you get something, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to open these quickly now. Well, that was a bit anticlimactic. Completely my own fault. So I don't know why in my mind I was expecting to open it and to have all these branches full of cherry blossom bouncing out of the box. It's the middle of winter, you know. Well, not even the middle of winter, it's the beginning of winter, because we're, you know, coming up to December now. I don't know why I was expecting it to be covered in cherry blossom. That's not going to happen till early spring. Anyway, I'm not a tree specialist or anything, but I don't like the way that they, you know, they prune the branches, and I expect they do it for a reason, because when it grows, it'll grow in a nicer habit. But I would have preferred if it hadn't been pruned. I'll show you. So can you see this? This has been cut. This has been cut, and then, you know, there's another stem coming out. I don't know, I would have, that one's been cut. Why do they do that? This one's been cut. Is it to make more branches? I don't know. But anyway, nice little tree. Hopefully I'll get some cherry blossoms in the spring. Not long to wait. And then let's have a look. I think these are all my hedging plants. Well, not all of them. I bought some from one company and some from another. But this is the one that's got the 100... what's it called, hornbeam plants, and a few other ones. So if you watched the video where I was talking about the hedging plants that I got, I didn't mention getting 100 hornbeam, and the reason why I got them was because Isabel at My Wild Welsh Garden mentioned that her hedge, because I said I wanted a hedge for privacy, her hedge doesn't really provide privacy in the winter at all. So I got the hornbeam because I thought what I'll do is, rather than doing a single row, I'll do a double staggered row. So I'll do hornbeam at the back, and then all the nice ones at the front, the ones that fruit, things like the crab apple and, you know, the wild plum and all that sort of stuff can go at the front, so that I can see them and they're beautiful. But hopefully the hornbeam at the back, because once the leaves sort of go brown and crispy in the autumn and winter, they don't actually drop off, they stay on the plant. So hopefully it will provide me with the privacy that I want even in the winter. So yeah. Do you want to have a look in the box? Hang on. There they are. Look at them. Little beauties. So I'm going to take them out now. I'm going to have a good look at them, see if the roots are all okay. Can you see that? The roots are dry as bones. Anyway, I'm going to stick them in a bucket of water and hope that they'll be okay before I'll cover them with some compost or something after they've had a soak. And actually, I've just realised that this wheelbarrow is right here. And this is, can you believe, look how much water is in there. That is just 3 days worth of rain. That was one of the things about moving to Wales. You know, my husband was like, oh, it rains all the time in Wales. And I said, no, you know, It's not true. It's just a thing. It's a joke that people say. And then when we moved here, it did not stop raining. It felt like the whole year it was raining. And I was really surprised because, you know, when I had my allotment in Kent, just outside of London, you'd have buckets over winter and they would never fill up with rain. And, you know, I'd have a bucket or like a pot or something that had been left in the garden, in our garden in Wales, and when we were in South Wales. And, you know, within days it would be absolutely chock-a-block full of water. And this wheelbarrow, just 3 days worth of rain and it's like a third full. It's crazy. I find that really crazy. I've never seen it in my life before. You know, the things that fascinate us, I suppose, when we become adults. It's just rather strange. Right, let's have a quick look in the greenhouse. All of these plants are so exciting. Okay, so the first one I wanted to show you is a bit dark because a massive grey cloud has just sort of come overhead. But anyway, yeah, so this one is called Fool's Watercress, I think it is. Is it? Yeah, Fool's Watercress. And you see, it's that plant. And then all of these other little plants were in the pot, so I separated them all out. So I'm going to have to be careful about where I plant this and what I do with it, because I don't want it to spread. So I'm going to monitor it for the first year before I start planting it here, there and everywhere, because I don't want to be planting myself a spreading weed problem, you know. So basically this is a hardy perennial, so it will keep going year after year, and you can add the leaves to salads and stuff like that. But I don't know why it's called Fool's Watercress, because it doesn't really taste like watercress. It's got like so watercress is just a very pure, clean, peppery flavour, whereas this is a lot more aromatic. It's more perfumey in its flavour. I'm trying to think of what it tastes like. Like, I'm getting like a little bit of celery, and I'm not good at, I'm not, you know, like a food connoisseur that can pick up all these different flavours and what it tastes like. But yeah, I like it. My husband didn't like it when it arrived. I was like, oh, taste this. He didn't like it at all. The other thing that came with this was saltbush, and I can see why, because the leaves definitely do have a salty taste. It's almost succulent, so it's a little bit astringent as well, very slightly astringent, but overall it's a really nice flavour. So this again is a perennial, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it can grow feet high. It could grow taller than me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to deciding where to plant this. And then the other thing I got were these strawberry plants. So they came as bare roots. I ordered 6, but 2 were kind of attached together, so I've got 7. And this is a white strawberry. So typically I think the white strawberries have almost like a pineapple-y flavour. So I'm really excited about that. This is just a buddleia, couple of buddleias actually, that had self-seeded in the gravel outside on the drive. So I've potted them up. I've noticed a couple more, so I'll pot those up as well. And then this one is Japanese ginger. And it's not the, you know, like typically with ginger you would eat the, what are they called, rhizomes that grow underground, but you don't do this with the Japanese ginger. I think it's these bits that you eat. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And apparently this is hardy as well, so it will work quite well in this country in the winters. It will survive through the winter. I think it goes dormant in the winter and then pops back up. And then these are like a beautiful, they came with the bareroot hedging that I just ordered, and they are an evergreen one, and luckily these ones are potted, so it gives me some time to think about where I want to put them. And I got these because they've got fragrant white flowers, so I thought that would be quite nice for the bees. And it's quite slow growing, so I need to think about where I'd like a little evergreen hedge 10 years in the future. And then let's have a look at these. Okay, so my friend came and stayed with us for the weekend, and she actually bought some plants. We went to the greenhouse together. I'm just popping it over here. She bought some plants and then she left them here for me to plant up, which was really nice. I just have to take some cuttings, propagate them for her. Okay, so yeah, this is the honeyberry, which I had 3 of those already, but I'm showing you this because it's actually nice to see what the berries will look like. So that's quite nice. I've got 4 of those now. And if we come back here, she got this one as well. It's a tayberry. Those berries look absolutely beautiful. Very similar to another one that I've just bought, which arrived just a couple of days ago. It's this tumbleberry. So if I'm not mistaken, this is a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry, with its own unique flavour though. So again, I'm looking forward to that. I don't think it grows like raspberry canes grow. It grows more like a sort of raggedy bush. And then this one is myrtle, which again, it will have lovely flowers, scented flowers, which are loved by bees. But I also got it because of the medicinal properties that it has. But that needs a sheltered spot, so I might actually grow that in the polytunnel. And then over here, this is again another one that my friend bought. She bought 3 of them. This is white mulberry. I have a black mulberry, so I'm really happy to get the white mulberry because apparently I've not tried them, but you can use the leaves of the white mulberry in salads. And then this is really interesting. So apparently it's the first and only autumn fruiting rhubarb. So it doesn't go dormant in the summer like the other rhubarbs do. And yeah, you can take a crop in early spring, and then the main crop you can take in going into autumn. So that's quite nice. And it says that the stems are virtually stringless. So again, good. I went a bit mad with the rhubarbs actually, so I bought 5 different ones. The other 4 haven't arrived yet. So I don't know what I was thinking. Sometimes I get overexcited. And then what have we got? Oh, okay, so this is Saskatoon. Saskatoon I've never grown before, but this apparently has a lovely berry that's quite similar to a blueberry, but tastes nothing like a blueberry. And speaking of berries, let's go over here. So I've got these bareroot, and this is called, it has a blueberry, I believe, as well. And it's called chokeberry, and I think it was named that because of how astringent it is. But this does have medicinal properties, and I think if you can cook it up and make jams, and it does have a nice flavour. I think if you leave it until it's very ripe, then it's much sweeter and you can eat it raw, but otherwise you can cook it. But yeah, medicinal properties, and I believe the Saskatoon also has medicinal properties. And then this one over here, fascinating plant, which you can't see, but basically, yeah, it's dormant at the moment. So I'm just having to trust the nursery that there is, in fact, a plant in there. This is called Korean aster. And the reason why I got this is because it just seemed really interesting. So in spring, you can eat the young leaves, and they're quite aromatic, like an interesting flavour, apparently. But what I found really interesting about it was that you can, when the leaves get bigger later in the year, you can dry them and keep them, store them, and then you can rehydrate them and stick them in stir fries and stuff. So I thought that was fantastic. And yeah, that's my little salt bush again. Those are eucalyptuses. You've seen those before, haven't you? Yeah, those are the honeyberries. Now let's come over here. More interesting things. Now, I got a collection of Szechuan pepper plants. So there are 2 Szechuan and 2, I think, Sansho, the Japanese one. Let's have a look. Japanese pepper Sansho, yeah. So there's 4 different varieties. Now, with the Szechuan pepper, I've not grown this before outdoors, but my husband likes bonsai trees, so he had a Szechuan, not with big leaves like this though. I have to say, the leaves looked more like this. So maybe that one over there, which looks like a dead twig, is one with a smaller leaves. But anyway, so with these, obviously you get the Szechuan peppers off of it if it does fruit. But you can also eat the leaves. So they're kind of, there's a very sort of zingy, aromatic flavour to them. But they also leave like this little tingly numbness on your tongue. So if you're eating a leaf just like that, probably not a nice eating experience unless you like that numbing feeling. I really don't like it. But imagine if you had little pops of flavour, these tiny little leaves in a salad, you know, that would be really, really nice. And I tried the this leaf, the Sancho, rather than the Szechuan, you know, evergreen, rather than the Szechuan bonsai that my husband had. And these leaves are actually a lot milder and there's less of that numbing feeling. Although I don't know if it's because they're so small. I knew I was going to get small trees, but I didn't know they were going to be this small. That's absolutely miniature. Anyway, so the other thing that I got was this. So it's called Dense di Kyoto, if that's how you say it. And this is, again, it's like a perennial, and you eat the leaves as a green. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm thinking of the right one, yeah, it's used as a wild vegetable in Japan. So you can use it a lot like you use spinach. And then this one over here, again, I wasn't expecting it, I mean, it looks big on the camera, but I wasn't expecting it to be so little. This is a magnolia tree. I chose this one in particular for the interesting flavour profile that the flowers have. So they're not as bitter as some of them can be. I would have preferred to have grown the more traditional, you know, when you think of magnolia, you think of those particular flowers, don't you? But this one, the flowers are obviously very different, but they'll taste a lot nicer. So it'll probably be a good 10 years before I get flowers, but I'll be thanking myself when I'm 55. And then the other thing that I got was bladder nut. Now, okay, so if this will actually fruit here, it's fully hardy, but I do, you know, there's a lot of things that are hardy here, but it's not hot, it doesn't get hot enough for them to fruit. So I'm hoping that it fruits. It didn't say, the website didn't say anything about it not fruiting, but anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that it creates these very strange looking fruits. It reminds me of a baboon's bum. Oh God, that's appetizing. Anyway, but the seed inside tastes a bit like pistachio, so I thought, oh, I wouldn't mind that. And then the other thing that I got 2 of these, and again, they're so small, they're absolutely minuscule. Look at that, smaller than my hand, is ginkgo biloba. So I absolutely love this tree, and I thought that we couldn't grow it in this country, but a few years ago I was going to one of these, you know, these stately homes or whatever you call them, that was not far from my house when I was living just outside of London, and they had quite a large ginkgo tree growing on the ground. So I thought, oh, maybe you can. I mean, I know Kent and London are much, much warmer than Wales, but I live in hope that this will be fine. I think they're pretty minus 20, so you know, that's pretty hardy. So I got this. It does have medicinal value, but I just got it because it's beautiful. I just love the shape of the leaves, and it's just, oh. And I was reading that this is like a prehistoric tree. You know what, I'd have to read more about it before I start waffling on about it, but yeah, it's quite exciting. I'm happy about that. So the other thing that I got, there were 3 tubers that I got. One of them was yacon. So when I've bought yacon in the past, well, I've only ever bought it once, and I kept it going for years and years and years at the allotment. So you get these tubers, and then you plant them up, and in spring you get the plant. I've never known of them being sent as a plant without, so basically it would be like a dahlia, you know, like if you've got a dahlia, you have to lift the tuber and store it over winter, and then you replant it in spring. Yacon is exactly like that, and then it creates these, I don't know what you would call them, maybe fruits. So they're, The best thing I can relate them to is like an apple. So I think of them as a ground apple, and they store for absolutely months. I've lifted them in autumn and still had them in spring, and you can add them to salads. You can make yacon syrup out of it, which is a really low GI sugar syrupy substitute. And which is very expensive in the shop. So I've seen it in Whole Foods for like £18 for a 500ml or a 750ml bottle. It does take ages though. I remember the first time I made it, I was surprised at how long you have to boil it down to get a syrup. I was there for absolutely ages. But you know, a really good thing if you do want a nice, relatively healthy sweetener. So yeah, I basically opened this one up because I thought, oh, let me take the tuber out of the soil and store it somewhere frost-free in a little bit of, like, not wet, because the compost was quite wet, not wet compost, moist. But there was no tuber in there, so it's just the plant going to a few roots. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this will be okay. So the other thing that I got was mashua, and again, the last time I bought these, they came as tubers, not a living plant. So again, I opened it up to have a look at what was going on, maybe to take the tubers out and store them. There weren't really any, but what there were like all of these little plants with like a small, what looked like the beginning of a tuber. So I separated loads of them out because they were all in this pot. So you can see I've got quite a lot there now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then these ones in here. And if I look after them correctly, hopefully they will start developing tubers next year in the spring. And this is oca. Again, you know, it's a tuber. I've never had this one. I've had mashua. To be honest, mashua, so people grow it for the tubers, but I really liked it for the leaves. It's very similar to nasturtium, but it's a much milder flavour, which I really, really enjoyed. And it's so prolific in terms of leaf production. And it's smaller as well, so you could just chuck, you know, the leaves in like that, whereas sometimes with nasturtium leaves, they do get quite big. And then, yeah, the oca, again, oh, hang on a minute. See, now that just fell off. That looks like the beginning of a tuber. So I need to have a look at this and maybe, yeah, it looks a bit too loose in there, so I don't know what's going on. So I need to open that up and have a look. And then the other thing that I got was this perennial kale. If you're a gardener, you will have heard of it, Taunton Dean kale. I've never grown it before. I've always grown the annual kales. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this does. So I think they root quite easily. So I'm tempted to take this one off and try and root it, take that one off and try and root it, or at least just take the one off and see if I can successfully propagate it. But at the moment, I'm just leaving it there. I'm a little bit nervous. And then let me take you back down to the floor. So this is a strawberry tree, and I actually bought 2 of these, the other one's outside. And I bought one of these years ago from the Eden Project. It was just a little thing, and it grew to sort of my shoulder height, and I had to leave it at my old allotment. And it creates these round red fruits. And actually, when I was buying this one, the description on the seller's website said, you know, the fruits aren't very nice, so you're best off leaving them for the birds. But I actually did quite like them. They weren't terribly sweet, and they had like this weird texture, but I did like them. And then this over here is New Zealand flax, and I got this, well, the leaves are beautiful and a nice interesting colour, but I actually got it because you can use this in craft projects for weaving. So you dry it and then you can just soak it, rehydrate it, so that you can weave with it. And I'm not sure whether it's this plant or another one, because I made a note of it when I first found out about it, and now I can't find the note for love nor money. But there is a plant that's similar to this that makes natural string. You can just, you know, split the leaves down and then use them as string, but I don't know if it's this or if it's something else. And then if we whiz around over here, so this is a basket making willow. Again, this is one of the things that my friend bought. So there are 5 plants in here. They just need to be separated and planted up. And then, yeah, in a few years' time, I can maybe weave myself a basket with my own willow. That would be amazing. And down here, these are the bareroot raspberries that I bought. So I bought 6 canes of Joan J. So Joan J is a variety that I found out about from my allotment neighbour, my good friend John, who sadly passed away a few months ago. And I loved these raspberries. They're an autumn fruiting variety and they taste really nice. They're really reliable. They're massive fruits. And John was going to give me some, so I left the ones that he gave me at my allotment because I just didn't have time to dig them up when we were leaving. But the idea was that I was going to go back to his allotment and he was going to give me some more. But obviously that didn't happen because, well, life had other plans. But I bought these instead. I do miss John. He was a really good man. And then this is a beautiful dwarf weeping willow. It's called Kilmarnock. Look at that. How stunning is it? I mean, obviously I know it's not planted up. I got this as a bare root, but I've just popped it in a pot with compost in until I do plant it out. But it's absolutely stunning. I love these weeping trees. And they had a non-dwarfing variety and they had this dwarfing one. And I thought, I'll get this because, yeah, it means I can have it without worrying at the moment where I'm going to plant it. Because if you wanted to plant like a really, you know how big weeping willows get. If you wanted to plant one of those, you'd really need to think carefully about where you want to put it because in 10, 20, 30 years' time, it's going to be absolutely huge and take up a lot of space. But this one, I think it gets 2 meters by 2 meters, so doesn't require a lot of thought. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. And just, you know what, like, oh, it's just so exciting. Oh, just joy, 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 joy. So I'm going to go back inside now because it is still raining and it's really windy. If I was doing what I should be doing, I would just be putting on my little rain mac and I would be going to the field and starting to plant some of those bare roots. I'm too much of a lightweight. It's because it's windy as well, and you know when it's windy then it's really cold, and to be honest I really don't like the wind. So yeah, I'm going to go in, make a cup of tea, think about my hedging a little bit more, maybe make some more notes about it, and yeah, I will catch you again next time.